Khalyla Kuhn just appeared on the last episode of Bad Friends as Bobby Lee's replacement, and oh boy, did she get destroyed by the comments and dislikes. Apparently, Bobby Lee missed the episode because he was on set for the TV show Magnum P.I., but having Khalyla on, I think, was a bit of a strange move, and it actually raised some questions for me. Why was she invited? Was Andrew Santino trying to prove a point to Bobby Lee by, having her on and showing him what the fans think of her on a platform that is not actively, removing all negative criticism of her? Or did she force herself into the episode? Because there is a pattern in the way that Khalyla handles criticism, negative criticism, and the haters whenever she gets a lot of hate online, where she doubles down and puts up this tough person act just to show everybody that she really doesn't care what they think and doesn't care about the haters, which would lead me to believe that she did this on purpose to troll them and to make the fans mad, in which case she was successful. Well, today we won't really talk about much about what happened in that episode, because even though Andrew Santino carried the whole show on his back, it was rather boring. So instead, we're going to take a look at what the possible motives were for having Khalyla on Bad Friends, which is an insane move once again. We will also be taking a look at some interesting clips. And before we continue, if you guys can do me a huge favor and hit the subscribe button, it helps out a ton. And we are trying to get to 20,000 subscribers, so I really appreciate that.
Welcome back to everyone's favorite podcast, Splitting Up Together, featuring Rudy Jules and the one and only Khalyla Kuhn. Sitting in the hot seat today is Khalyla Kuhn.
My last name is not, that's not how you say it.
Khalyla Kuhn.
It's a racial slur.
Is it really? Khalyla Kuhn. How do you say your last name?
Kuhn.
Khalyla Kuhn. So much better that way, isn't it?
No.
Rudy. Rudy wasn't here on time. We were here 15 minutes ago. Rudy forgot that it was Bad Friends Day. She's going to blame Fancy B. Is that true?
Yeah, because I thought he said Thursday.
Check your test. Your text.
Yeah, no, I think the original way you said it. Check your test. Check your test, please.
I guess the first thing that we can talk about that you could argue is that this was a last minute thing and that they had no other option but to have Khalyla to cover in for Bobby Lee. But I don't know. I mean, they are in LA. I think, and I'm pretty confident that they could easily find another comedian or another podcaster that would get to the studio in a heartbeat just to be on Bad Friends podcast. Or maybe this was a calculated move by someone. So that leads us to two possible scenarios.
I mean, I didn't think that we would talk about it. So would you have some?
I love it.
I mean, he's almost free.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But you guys still live in the same place. Why can't you guys be best friends? Imagine you guys would be best friends and you have your own places. And she can do her thing.
That's
and
true.
you can do your thing.
She is gonna, right? Is that the plan?
I think so.
You don't know.
I don't think so. I don't know what's going on. You're part of the plan.
Are you part of the plan? Have she talked to you about it?
Maybe.
She only knows
You can't smell a rat.
6 words.
The first scenario would be where Andrew Santino actually is aware of all the Khalyla hate and drama that is going on the internet, and he wanted to show Bobby Lee how disliked she actually is. Because I'm pretty sure that Andrew Santino gets tons of messages or comments on his social media, Instagram, whatever, telling him to save Bobby Lee from Khalyla. I mean, it could be a troll or it could be actual people that are concerned for Bobby Lee. I mean, just looking at it from a numbers game, there is a possibility that that is going on. So again, by having her on the podcast on a platform that, Khalyla doesn't have access to, they could have concrete proof of what the fans think about Khalyla and Bobby Lee. Clearly, there's no doubt about that.
I can just look at our relationship and go, you know what? I can make some money with this girl. You know what I mean? And we get along. When I was in the Philippines, I was with her. We had different hotel rooms, right? And then she's like, I'm going to stay for another week because my family. So I go, I left early. You know what I mean?
This could also show Bobby Lee that even though, sure, he could make money with Khalyla, he could make way more money with another girl. Now, the second and only other option that I see possible here is, like I said, Khalyla actually pushing so that she could be on the podcast. like I mentioned before, there is a pattern in the way that Khalyla approaches criticism or whenever she is hated online. And over the last couple of months, it has been ramping up pretty bad.
But it's a one of 5 names.
That's good that you narrowed it down.
Okay, and
No, I don't think that it's that. I think it was probably just a Cheeto fingered little dude.
oh, there we go.
who
There's a
doesn't,
rat.
like,
There's the
leave
anger.
house.
There's the anger.
But I mean, I think okay.
There's the resentment.
When in the history of anything other than like Vice, has there ever been a true interview of a Cheeto fingered troll?
Right.
Go ahead. It's potentially we were being threatened, a lawsuit, and I'm like scared to even say that out
We
loud.
can't really. We just won't say the name, right? But
We
we'll
won't.
just-
Yeah.
But someone was like behind the scenes threatening to sue us.
Even the thing that started it all was really just an anonymous anecdote.
And I'll say
that
this
kind of,
to
like,
that
blew
person,
up, yeah.
to that person who threatened us. I'll say this: you think you have a one over me? I fucking dare you. I dare you. Let it out of your chest because that is actually not a real threat. You think you're threatening me, but it's kind of that information's already out there. You little.
Can confirm.
Yeah.
There's-
She can confirm. She can confirm. Bobby can.
It's just
confirm.
also
For example, instead of addressing the issue head on and working on herself, she doubles down and attacks the haters or the people that criticize her. So again, you could argue that she only went on the Bad Friends podcast to piss off the haters or the fans, because she knows that the show is very successful in part because it's Bobby Lee without her. And you can also argue that because it was her, the one that wanted to be on the podcast, and not Andrew Santino, the podcast was barely like 37 seconds over the 1 hour mark for that episode. Usually in the podcast world, you can tell how bad of a time the host had by how long that episode or that podcast is. Obviously, Andrew Santino is a talented beast and he carried the show and made it work. But if you compare that episode to other episodes with Bobby Lee, you can tell that he was just pushing that 1 hour mark. He just wanted to get that 1 hour of content. And keep in mind, that is with advertisement breaks. And they were watching some random videos and talking about dogs and all that stuff. However, you do have to give props to whoever uploads the episodes because they hid Khalyla's face in the thumbnail. They knew that if Khalyla's face was on it, the views were going to suffer. And at least the way they did it, they get some views, it helps out the algorithm, and it helps out the channel in the long run. Because I truly believe if she was on the thumbnail, the views would have suffered, unless obviously the title was something clickbaity like, Khalyla exposed Bobby Lee or just something crazy like that. It will be interesting to see if they address the situation on the next episodes, but at the end of the day, they are in the entertainment industry, so it's not far-fetched to think that Bobby Lee is just green-lighting all the ideas that involve the Khalyla drama. From a business perspective, it's a smart move. I mean, to be completely honest, Khalyla doesn't really need her reputation to make a living. I am pretty sure that she is beyond rich and that she could retire now if she wanted to and live comfortably for the rest of her life. But at the end of the day, they are both grinding. You can't deny that. I mean, they are both hustling. Khalyla is doing a bunch of episodes, doing a bunch of marketing, whatever she does, and Bobby Lee is over there crushing it as well. But yeah, if you made it this far, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like the video if you like what you saw. Subscribe to the channel to stay updated. It really helps out a ton. And like I mentioned before, we are trying to get to 20,000 subscribers. Dislike if you didn't like it. And that is all that we have for today. See ya.